If you were to bite off a kneecap, how would it look?
Woodward Sports, let's go.
Welcome, everybody, to the Morning Woodward Show. Happy Tuesday. You are tuning in to the Woodward Sports Network. We're so glad to have you here. Boys, good morning. We've got Jeff back. How awesome.
I am back. I'm here to get revenge for Stick for yesterday. For you just doing what you did.
Everybody wants to get revenge, Kennedy. Nobody.
Adam's just such a meanie, man.
What can I do? I'm glad you're feeling better, Jeff.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's nice, Adam.
I was reading the comments. It was funny. People were like, he needed a much-needed rest after getting yelled at by Adam. Hey, listen, I'm fine, guys. All right, I can handle this man.
Yeah, good luck.
He's fine.
Well, I'm glad you can handle him because the roster. The Lions made some roster moves yesterday, and I want to know how you guys feel about it. There were some surprising names, some not-so-surprising names. So, Jeff, what do you think about it?
The only really surprising name that really stood out to me is nothing. Brashad Perriman, he was injured, missed most of a lot of the training camp. He was having bad training camp. Any media that covered the Detroit Lions training camp, including our guy Corey, wasn't surprised by this because he can't stay healthy. And I think we can officially say Brashad Perriman's the first miss of Brad Holmes because signing him, we all expected him to be wide receiver 2. Obviously, it didn't happen. Right now, Khalif Raymond is wide receiver 2, and we'll get into that at the later time in the show. But in terms of everyone else, I mean, it was just about cutting guys. I mean, Mike Ford, they're cleaning up, the secondary, and Tyrell Crosby. Obviously, that was a surprise. But at the end of the day, Dan Campbell said it best. He said, according to Tyrell Crosby, we didn't think he was one of the best guys. And that's what it comes down to when they cut, these players is they're competing in training camp. And if, number one, they can't stay healthy, which Brashad Perriman struggled to do so along with Tyrell Crosby, then, they're going to cut him. One guy, obviously, the elephant in the room, Jelani Tavai, surprised, but not surprised because there will be a casualty if they cut him. But at the same time, if you're going to say Brashad Perriman is not one of the best guys, or Tyrell Crosby is not one of the best guys, what are you looking at? Because Jelani Tavai clearly isn't one of the best guys. And if that guy keeps making bonehead plays like we've seen multiple games in this preseason, I think he should be on the way out. But am I surprised by these cuts? Not really, no.
Wow. Okay, so the Tyrell Crosby cut blew me away. I understand he was hurt. I understand you're unsure of, what 53 you want to keep on the roster now. But the fact that Jelani Tavai wakes up, it's August 31st, and he's still on the Detroit Lions roster, and Tyrell Crosby isn't, blows my mind. How? We discussed this piece yesterday of a potential move where you trade Taylor Decker away for, let's say, a 1 and a 5 or a 1 and a 7, whatever it may be. I could care less. You move Panay back to the left tackle position, and then you can plug in Tyrell Crosby at the right. Crosby has shown good potential so far. Injuries, of course, keeping him off the field. Having said that, how Tavai still is on the Detroit Lions actually makes sense. They don't have depth at linebacker.
Mm-hmm.
And to be honest, when the previous front office that was in charge before Brad Holmes took over, it takes Tavai in the second round, Brad Holmes will walk in and say, well, if I just cut him, I'm left with nothing. So I don't have depth at linebacker. We're not competing for the NFC North, let alone the NFC in general. So I'll keep him. And what we're going to do is we're going to try to increase his value before the trade deadline. And if there's a team where their linebacker gets taken down and Tavai is having an okay season, average, we can go get a 6th. For lucky, a 5th round pick, but most likely a 6th out of it. And that's better than 0. So that's where I stand with the whole Jelani Tavai situation regarding the cuts. Now, Perriman, again, availability, questionable. Yes, you paid him $2 million guaranteed in the offseason. No, I don't want to say it's a miss. It wasn't. Again, it's not a miss because the team isn't in a position to win. And when you bring in a guy like Brashad Perriman, it's not to take your team over the edge where if you miss, it really costs you. No. You brought him in because you were looking for some veteran leadership to help your young wide receiving core that isn't going to be a top wide receiving core probably for the next few years. So, okay, cool. You cut Perriman. You have Raymond now. You have, I believe, Allison's still on the roster, but I expect him to get moved later this week. So, your wide receiving core really looks like Tyrell Williams. You have Raymond. We'll see if Kennedy's going to make it. Tom Kennedy.
St. Brown, of course.
Obviously St. Brown, and obviously Cephas. I'm not sure what to make out of the Crosby one is most concerning to me. I think it was way too early.
And
but
I agree with you on the Crosby because, number one, I will say this. The person who is taking his spot, Vaitai, who last year we got from the Eagles, who, Bob Quinn signed him for a ridiculous amount of money, he wasn't able to finish games because he was dehydrated. So, I mean, that guy is your starting right guard this year. So it's a little concerning, Tyrell Crosby, like you just said. He started games for us. He's a solid depth tackle or guard. He could play two positions there, but that was surprising. It's got to be something we're not seeing because, like you said, the depth at linebacker is concerning. I can see that's why Tavai maybe survived, but you could say the same for offensive line. I mean, besides this starting five, who do we have?
Crosby played in 11 games last year.
Yeah,
he started 11 games. He was a proven backup. I'm not saying he's going to be a Pro Bowl tackle. But he was a proven backup. So if one of your offensive linemen somehow, some way get hurt, and let me just remind everybody, this is football. One of the most, if not the most physical contact sport played in America. If you lose a Penei Sewell for a few weeks, if you lose anybody on your offensive line, you just took out somebody with not only game experience, but who was, again, a proven offensive lineman on your team last year. It blows my mind. They got rid of Mike Ford, who, for special teams purposes, I kind of liked. I kind of liked him. A.J. Parker, standout corner during the preseason. I liked him a lot. You have Jeff Okudah. You have Iffy. Like, secondary is a little full, so I'm not going to overreact to that move. But I kind of liked Mike Ford on the special teams unit, whether he was going to be on the edge blocking for the returners on the punt return unit, or he was going to be on the kickoff unit. It didn't matter to me. I thought he was a nice player. Sometimes you keep guys that are like, you call them a 7-tool bandit,
right? Or
somebody with multiple abilities. He can play corner if two corners go down throughout the season, but his main purpose could be on special teams. But regardless, they cut him, so that's really not that big of a deal. And you look at Brashad Perriman again, $2 million loss. I don't think it's that big of a deal. It just tells me three things I already knew going into the preseason, and now heading into the regular season. The wide receiving core is clearly a weakness. They need availability more than talent, which is why Perriman is gone. And you need Amon-Ra St. Brown and Quintez Cephas to get as many reps and targets as possible throughout the regular season, because you need to help them grow. They need to develop over the season. This is their one season where there are zero expectations, depends on who you ask. There are zero expectations on contending for the NFC North. Speaking of contending, we'll talk about that later, because our good friend Jared Goff decided to make comments on that. But again, this wide receiving core needs a year to develop. They just need to go out there, go against actual corners, understand what's going on, how to stop in zones, how to get themselves open, especially Amon-Ra St. Brown, because he's playing a very tricky situation, or a position, I should say. Amon-Ra St. Brown is not only going to be the slot guy that everybody wants him to be. No, he's going to be the guy that's realistically needs to be most on the same page with Jared Goff. This is the guy that could be running a 10 and out, and if they're playing zone coverage, he needs to turn around and stop because Jared's probably throwing the ball. Like, I have my question marks about the wide receiving core, which we'll talk about later, but nothing surprised me outside of Tyrell Williams. I thought the Perriman one was the right decision. If he's not available, you're not going to keep him. I'd rather just get the young guys reps and targets. And then Mike Ford, I liked him on special teams, but,
And this will tell us about, number one, Brad Holmes' talent evaluation, because last year, Matt Patricia, Bob Quinn, selected a man out of Kentucky, Logan Stenberg, and that guy still on the team, of course, but obviously they see something in him because cutting a Tyrell Crosby, the depth isn't there. So now you got Stenberg, you got a couple other guys. So it's going to be interesting to see this season, especially with the guys they cut. But for me personally, I would have liked to see Tyrell, see if you can get something for him. I mean, there's teams like the Giants who need an offensive line. Now they're going to be able to sign Tyrell Crosby for a minimum. But at the end of the day, we'll see. The wide receiver core is an issue, which we'll address that later in the show. But in terms of just the cuts, besides Tyrell Crosby, not really surprised, no.
The Lions are stacked on the offensive line. They're going to be fine.
Top 10.
This isn't going to kill them that they got rid of Crosby. I just thought it was questionable. Yes, he was injured.
Do you think we could have got something for him? Do you think?
If you wanted to move him during the season? Again, yeah. In the NFL, injuries happen.
Mm-hmm.
And it just so happens there could be a team that needs a right tackle.
Right.
Let's say. Again, you're not getting a first, a second, a third, or even a fourth-round pick for these kind of players. But, the same thing with Tavai. If I can give this guy an opportunity to increase his value, I'm going to do it. Because I've already technically spent a second-round pick on him. And I'm not ready, not just to give up on him, I'm not ready to walk away with nothing. And if there's a chance I can walk away with a fifth, a sixth, it's good business. It's good business. Kennedy, did anything surprise you yesterday with the Lions roster moves?
Not really. I was upset about Tavai not being cut, but I understand why it's happening the way that it is. But nonetheless, it is still annoying because he definitely does suck. But that being said, we have to go to break. And when we come back, we will be talking about our guy, Taylor Decker, had some comments regarding winning and losing. So stick around for that right here on Woodward Sports.
Morning, Art.
Morning, D-Mac.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Morning Wood. So excited to have you here on a beautiful Tuesday. It's finally not too hot or too cold. It's just right outside, so I'm having a great Tuesday. Hope you are too. All right, but now we need to talk about Taylor Decker. He had some comments. He's basically saying that he's sick of losing in Detroit and that he's ready to win now. So who do you guys think are more fed up? Is it the fans or is it the players? I mean, I know I'm certainly sick of losing, but Adam, what do you think?
All right, so this isn't even close. The fans are much, much more fed up. When you're a player and you play for the Detroit Lions or just any franchise in general, your window is typically 2.5 to 4 years if you're lucky. Now, you have the quarterbacks, offensive linemen, the players that play for 7, 8, 9, 10, 12 years with the team that probably feel more of an attachment. But that's 1 out of every 10 players on the roster.
Right.
I'm sorry. The fans are more fed up, and it's not just because of the recent 3 years. No. It is the last 57 years where all you have to show for is one playoff win. One playoff win followed by a butt kicking in the NFC Championship game. That's what you can hold your hat on over the last 57 years. Fans are more frustrated. They are. They just are. It's not even close. They've been given nothing outside of one playoff win. They've been given Barry Sanders. The Silver Dome was packed. Some of the best moments you could imagine watching one of the best running backs to ever do it play. Great. No team success. Calvin Johnson, one of, if not, let's say a top 5 wide receiver of all time, depends who you ask. Nothing to show. 0 playoff wins. You had a franchise quarterback, whether you liked him or not. You had a stable, good quarterback for 12 years. Nothing. And he was a big part of that. But, again, nothing over 57 years. Yet, the players are going to be more frustrated. Players come and go. Coaches come and go. Front offices come and go. The fans are always here. Fans are forever. So no, Taylor Decker, You may be fed up and frustrated with losing, but I promise you it's a tenth of what this fan base is feeling. And I can almost guarantee that.
I hate giving Adam credit, but he hit it right on the head, right there. It's as simple as that. Players have the choice when their contract is up. Hey, if this organization is not winning, I can go to a winning culture. Us fans, it's called a bandwagon. I'm not going to go jump on another team. This is my team. It's the Detroit Lions, and the misery the fan base has gone through the last, Adam said, 57 years. I mean, we haven't had a playoff win in over 30 years. I mean, it's not a good look. And like Adam said, when we won that playoff game, what followed after was disgraceful. So it's definitely the fans because, the constant regime changes, the coming up short when we made the playoffs 2016 and other opportunities, and the PI against the Cowboys. Like, there's so many moments as fans that we had to endure that it just doesn't make this argument close. And you can even bring up the disaster of Bob Quinn and Matt Patricia. Like, people around the league know the Lions as number one, sadly a laughing stock as an organization, but more importantly, one of the they lose the most out of all the franchises in the entire NFL. So it's got to be the fans because they're stuck, rooting for this team and giving them their support, and the players have the opportunity, like Matthew Stafford, when things don't work out, you can go to L.A. and with the palm trees and live a beautiful lifestyle. So it's got to be the fans, 100%.
Kennedy, it's not even close. It's definitely the fans. You look at recent history. Forget I can bring up the last 57 years, but let's just bring up from 2010 to 2021. Okay, 3 playoff appearances, 0-3. All right, nothing significant, never captured a division title, nothing. All right. That's just the team accomplishments. Do I have to remind people of some of the off-season moves that were made in that time stretch? Like, it's not even just the on-field performance. You went through the Matt Millen era. You went through Jim Schwartz starting hot, revitalizing the culture, sound familiar? And then blowing out of steam because he couldn't just control his temper. The fans are more frustrated. They've been more frustrated. The only fan base that you could compare this to in regards to frustration would be the Dallas Cowboys, because they've won the same amount of nothing in the last 25 years since Dallas was actually relevant. Now, granted, they've won division titles playing in the NFC East. They've won playoff games. They've been good. They've had good football teams where they go into the year like, all right, this is our year to not only win the division, we're going to contend for the NFC Championship. At least they got that. Remind me of a time where Detroit Lions fans outside of every year are that optimistic.
But the Cowboys didn't go 0-16 also. So, you know what? There's some seasons where the fans just absolutely clawed their eyes out as well. So,
0-16, I don't even think of it as that atrocious after Cleveland did it. Once Cleveland did it, it really helped mend the wound.
I know, but
it really did.
Only 2 times, like,
it really
it's
helped.
Embarrassing.
I will say, look, I get what he's saying, and I appreciate the comments of players when they come out like this and they say, like, we're ready to turn this around. But again, like, if you played high school football or collegiate football during the off season, what did we do? You did, depending where you played, we would call them either state champ push-ups or national champion, whatever it would be. You were doing down-ups, push-ups at the end of practice, screaming at the top of your lungs that this is the year. Even though you went 2-7 the year prior, no, this is our year. Of course they want to win. It's not about the want to win. There's a difference between wanting to win and actually winning. To win in the National Football League, you don't just need to want it. You need to have a good enough roster, a good enough head coach, a good enough quarterback, and a stable front office. And if you don't have any of those 4, good luck. You'll be inconsistent. Kennedy, who's more frustrated?
I mean, it's got to be the fans. And especially, I just looked up Taylor Decker's contract. He signed a $60 million contract, including a $7.5 million signing bonus with over $42 million guaranteed. I just, like, and he's 28. Like, if I'm in 5 years when I'm 28, making a fraction of that, I'm not mad about anything. You know, it's hard to feel bad for you when you're getting paid 60 mil just to like lose. Who cares at that point? You're rich.
No, I mean there is like some integrity that comes
Well,
with players.
I'm
Like
poor in losing. I'd rather be rich in losing.
Of course, everybody prefers that. But these players, when they are in the league, they're not playing on the team, or I should say, most of them aren't playing on the team just for the paycheck at the end of the year. No, they're working towards something and building. Like when you're in a locker room, you're friends with everybody.
Right.
You're building this camaraderie. You're trying to build something special. And when you start to buy in, it's very dangerous. Because when you buy in, and everyone talks about this culture shift, be very careful. When you buy into somebody and they don't deliver, you lose faith. You lose trust. My coach could tell me I am the best thing he's seen since Joe Montana, let's say. And I go out there, in my first 6 games, I've got 13 interceptions and 4 touchdowns. And I am not looking good. And I don't care how nice he talks to me. I know I'm playing like garbage. So you can talk about culture, but you got to win. That's the ultimate culture. Why do you think Pittsburgh gets away with treating their players the way they do? Especially their star players, their vocal players. Because they win.
New England as well.
New England's a kind of a one-off, but like even Baltimore has this culture of winning, so they're able to build functional teams for a long period of time where they're able to just compete. Baltimore hasn't been to the Super Bowl in the last 5, 6, 7 years, but you know what? They're knocking on the door. They're winning playoff games. They're getting to the playoffs. They're winning the division. They're drafting good players. I'm not saying you need to win the Super Bowl every year. But 57 years, one playoff win, excuse me, fans are much, much more fed up. Believe me.
Well, you made an interesting point. So obviously, Matt Patricia forced a lot of loss upon the Lions, especially my favorite of all time, Darius Slay. You think if he spoke to Slay and everyone else the way that he did, but they were winning, it would have ended differently, Adam?
Can you repeat that again? I
Matt
didn't follow.
Patricia.
Yeah.
Had said like some weird like you're not a man type comments to Slay that made him upset, and then that's when
Matt Patricia made everybody upset, and to be honest, everybody was overselling how good the team actually was when he took over. Yes, they were 9-7, but 8 of those 9 games they pulled off last minute fourth quarter comebacks. Now again, that's amazing. You win in the NFL, it's a good thing, but you were middle of the pack, average as a team, and you had a good culture, and you had a good quarterback that led those drives, and you were able to pull off wins. Oh, and it just so happens Matt Prater was probably the best kicker over a 2-3 year stretch, so you were winning all those games on late field goals. Matt Patricia walked in and just made it completely worse. He walked in with the totally wrong mindset. He walked into a good culture and he said, F all of you. I'm the bee's knees, and I know exactly what I'm doing. And that's why he rubbed everybody the wrong way, and that's why nobody respected him and played hard for him. But playing hard for your coach only gets you so far. And this is the biggest problem I have with any of these comments. You can tell me you want to win. Okay, good. Show me. Show me actions. I know you want to win. I know the team isn't going into the year saying, all right, guys, this year we're going to win 3 to 5 games. But next year, I'm telling you, we're going to get them. No, you don't do that. It's not professional. You walk into every single game with the mindset of, we're going to win this football game. Here's how we're going to game plan for it. Here's how we're going to prep for it. Here's how we're going to execute. If this doesn't happen, here's our response to it. If this happens, here's what we're going to do. Cool. But it's, again, 57 years of nothing outside of 3 blown, if you want to argue Matthew Stafford as a Hall of Famer, 3 blown Hall of Fame players you managed to win nothing with outside of a playoff game with Barry. That's it. That's it.
Yeah, it's not even just the playoff wins like Adam mentioned. It's the players too. Like what we had to endure as fans. If anybody, you're a Detroit Lions fan, you understand. You had Kelvin Johnson retired early, and then you have Barry Sanders who retired early. I mean, these things besides just the no success in the playoffs or falling short when we've gotten there. But to answer your question about the Matt Patricia thing, like to think we were somewhat successful with Jim Caldwell the year prior or the 2 years prior, it's just for players to come in and immediately buy into Matt Patricia. Like, I think players get tired of that. When a guy comes in and trying to implement like a Bill Belichick, his way. It just gets tiring when you're losing.
You have to earn your players' respect.
Yes, you got to earn your players' respect.
Before you can talk to them or treat them like that. He just walked in and thought he was going to walk over everybody and somehow take that team and make it better. It wasn't going to happen. The team was actually on the decline, whether you want to admit it or not. And he walked in.
Made it worse.
And they could have probably won 7-8 games his first year with that roster because it was okay, but it wasn't anywhere near competing good. Okay. So you win 7-8 games. But he threw that out the window. He threw it out the window the moment he walked in and talked down to everybody. It's that simple. That is his biggest flaw outside of not being able to coach defense. He doesn't know how to communicate with people. You have to know how to communicate with players. And when you're walking into a situation where they enjoyed what? An 11-5 year, 7-9, and back-to-back 9-7 years. This is a team that was a borderline wildcard team for 3 out of the 4 years. And their first year, obviously, they peaked with Caldwell, and they were just kind of like, this for the next 3. But you don't walk in and just flip the table and think you're going to get all the players to play for you. We kind of got off track, obviously. This was about, who's more fed up. But
what has to do with
this is what happened.
Yeah, the fans.
And this is what happened for the last 30 years. Oh, new change. We're going to be great. Oh, it didn't work out. He was a horrible GM, and he was an even worse coach. New guys, let's go. Oh, wow, Jim Schwartz, fiery. Yeah. Win 10 games. Yeah. Oh, my God, this guy can't coach. He's a hothead.
But that's...
Well, we gotta go. We're going for the next one. Oh, here comes Caldwell.
That's normal, though.
He's too quiet. He's too quiet. He doesn't make any big calls.
Because you
made
the point earlier, like every time like a Schwartz gets brought in, a Caldwell, or a Patricia, like fans, or even a Campbell now, like fans are understanding, like, this could be a good year. I mean, we're going to start slow. Like, this is how fans think. It's been, 50 years of just, hey, this is going to be a good year, or at least a better year. We're going to make, progress this year. And there's been disappointment. So I feel like that's normal with a fan base to every time a new coach gets brought in, regardless if we know anything about him, good or bad. It's about being, I hate saying this, but positive. You have to be realistic, but fans are just positive in general. So
at the end of the day, the players are not more fed up than the fans. The players don't play for 57 years. The players don't play for 57 years and only win one playoff game. The players don't play that long and only capture one division title. I'm sorry. So no, to answer the whole question, no. Fans are more frustrated.
And I think we all agreed on that. But we have to pivot when we come back from the Lions to the Pistons, and we'll have some bold predictions for you guys. But before that, maybe some of these predictions can be bet on. Adam, tell us about MyBookie.
Well, speaking of MyBookie, guys, you know how I feel about a lot of this. You don't have to be fed up with the team this year. You can just bet on the team. That's what I'm going to do. Take the Pistons on the over, and, of course, take the Detroit Lions on the under. Regardless, it'll be a good time, guys. MyBookie, bet anytime, anywhere. It's football season. There's not a better time to be betting other than football season. It is the best time of the year. It's basically Christmas every single day when it's football season. I wake up in such a jolly mood.
Really?
Yes.
You're jolly?
Having said that, bet anything, anytime, anywhere. Go to mybookie.com. Use code Woodward. They'll match up your deposit to 50%. You put in $100, they'll give you $50. You put in $200, they'll give you $100. Math is easy, guys. And remember, if you have a gambling problem, please call the National Problem Gambling Helpline at 1-800-522-4700.
I'm looking to bring on another HVAC tech right now.
We are recruiting 5 to 10 techs a month.
We're looking to grow and expand. Every new tech we hire is from Northwestern Tech.
The hands-on training is fantastic.
They're always my first call.
We love hiring Northwestern Tech grads.
They come out trained and ready to work.
Our program is only 10.5 months, and our next classes are starting soon. So why wait?
I'm looking to hire
a graduate
of Northwestern Tech.
Northwestern Tech.
Northwestern Tech.
Welcome back, everyone. Welcome to the Morning Wood. So happy to have you here on a beautiful Tuesday. So, you guys, we've got some bold Pistons predictions for you. I want to start with Jeff because he's a big NBA guy.
Mm-hmm. What? Oh, okay. I'll just go into it. Well, I thought you were setting me up for a second. But yeah, so bold Pistons predictions. I'll start by saying this. Last year was different because Jeremy Grant led this team in scoring. And like Adams, he makes the point every time we talk on this show. He's not a number 1 or number 2. He's a good number 3, which it makes sense. For him to average 22 points per game, win most, he should have won most improved player, and then not making the All-Star team, which, you could have argued he could have made the All-Star team. I think this year, my prediction is I don't think he'll be close to 20 points. I think there's too many talented people on this team. Sadiq Bey taking the next step. Isaiah Stewart taking the next step. I think Killian Hayes could very much be 10, 11 points this year. Cade, we predict 17 points, 16 points. He's going to have a great year. And Sadiq around that. And I think Isaiah can even be around that with a double-double. So there's not enough points available for Jeremy to average just 24, 23 again. So that's my prediction. I don't think Jeremy Grant will be the leading scorer on this team, nor maybe second. I'm predicting second, but I wouldn't be surprised if he's close third. So that's my bold prediction.
Well, I got 3 of them. First one actually has something to do with Jeremy Grant. And that'll be the Detroit Pistons will shop Jeremy Grant before the trade deadline.
Are you serious?
Mm-hmm.
The Detroit
Pistons will shop Jeremy Grant. Now, whether or not they actually get something they're willing to accept and get rid of him for, I don't know. But they will shop him.
Mm-hmm.
They will shop him. They have enough young pieces. They don't need a guy who you think should have won Most Improved Player. No, he should not. No, he should not have.
He definitely should have been considered.
Julius Randle should have, because he took a New York Knicks team. He averaged, I believe, 7 more points than he did the year prior. He was up in rebounds, up in assists, up across the board.
Same with Jeremy Grant.
Yeah, one won 19 games. The other went to the first round.
Okay, and I'll give you that.
The Knicks.
I give you that.
The Knicks are atrocious. Julius Randle should have won it. But my first bold prediction is they need to shop Jeremy Grant. He's a number 3. He'll be an overpaid number 3. I don't think you need him. Again, they did this with Blake Griffin and Derrick Rose. You started the season with them, cool. They were getting too much ball usage. I don't want to see them. I want to see Killian Hayes, Cade Cunningham, Sadiq Bey, Saban Lee, Isaiah Stewart, and even Luka Garza to an extent.
Mm-hmm.
That's who I want to see. I don't care what Jeremy Grant does with the ball. Now, are you going to win as many games as you'd like without Jeremy Grant? Probably not. You do need veteran leadership on the court if you want to consider him a vet. You do need that. But this team showed last year they can play close games. They just can't close them. And ideally, that's what Cade Cunningham turns into over the next 2-3 seasons. But my second bold prediction is going to be Cade Cunningham will not win Rookie of the Year. You can book it. Cade Cunningham is not in a situation to win Rookie of the Year.
How? So?
He's playing in a Dwayne Casey offense that, one, is a very team-oriented offense. He's not... Cade Cunningham can become a star. He will not walk into the league and put up star numbers year 1. He'll put up 15, 16 points, 5, 6 rebounds, 4 or 5 assists probably. It's a good stat line. But you got people in other situations.
Like who?
Well, like a Jalen Suggs, like a Jalen Green, who are going to put up better numbers, because of their situation. Dwayne Casey isn't going to just give the rock to Cade Cunningham and say, hey, kid, go for it. Do you. That's not how it's going to work.
But
He's going to teach him.
Who else is going to get the ball? Like in this with this team, with the talent they have, if you're saying Cade's not necessarily going to get the ball, who are you giving it to? Killian?
You have Killian Hayes, Jeremy Grant, Cade Cunningham.
Cade's going to run the ball.
Cade is not going to run the ball, at least not for the first 25, 30 games.
Then what is he?
For the first 25, 30 games, Cade Cunningham is not going to dominate the ball. Look at LaMelo Ball.
He's not going to dominate, but he'll share ball carries with...
They gave him time to adjust to the game. They gave him time to adapt his game around this. It's a much faster game.
Of course.
Much more physical. So you're giving him time. The first 20, 30 games, Cade isn't going to be a dominant scorer or a dominant facilitator.
No.
So he's going to be averaging like 9, 10, 11, 12 points in those first 20, 30 games. And then probably towards the tail end of the season, he's going to be putting up 20, 18, 19 consistently, and he'll get his average up to 15, 16. That's just how it will play out, and which is why I don't think he'll win Rookie of the Year. You're going to have Jalen Green, if he's healthy, put up 22, 23 points a game his rookie year.
Hold on. So you're telling me right now that I don't think Cade will get the ball. There's gonna be other, but John Wall is on the Houston Rockets.
John Wall is.
So you're saying to me
the most injury-prone player in the NBA.
He's not.
His ball usage is
high.
It's not going to be what you think it is when he was in Washington.
He was. You should have seen him on the Houston Rockets last year.
He couldn't play.
You're a coach.
Play.
You're going to tell me you're going to give the ball to your rookie Jalen Green on a team that has multiple veterans. We have a team of young guys. I don't see a reason why Cade can't get most of the. He can't carry the ball up most of the time. It's going to be Killian, obviously, and Jeremy might have a time. But who else? Jalen Green. I would give the ball to just John Wall. There's other guys on that team that can carry the ball. Jalen Green.
Who's the scorer on that team? It's not
There's
John
multiple
Wall.
guys. There's Christian Wood, who's going to put up a lot of points.
That's
Jalen Green, Eric Gordon. There's multiple guys. KPJ who put up 50 last year.
Jalen Green is going to be the leading scorer on that team, which means he's going to put up anywhere from 22 to 24 points a game year one just because of his ball usage. He is going to have the ball in his hands at least 53, over 53% of the time. He's going to have the ball. And he's going to be a high-volume shooter, and he's going to be a high-volume scorer. So that's simple. That's what Jalen Green's going to be year one. The Rockets aren't competing.
Hold on.
Jalen Green's sole purpose year one is to take care of Jalen Green. And I promise you, the Rookie of the Year doesn't matter because by year 3, Cade will be a much more developed player, and Jalen will be the nice scorer that everybody likes, but hey, he doesn't play winning basketball. Cade can develop into the same scorer that Jalen Green is. He can become a much, much better facilitator. I think over time he'll be the better passer. He'll be the better overall player. Mm-hmm. But year one, Cade is not in a position to win Rookie of the Year. He just isn't.
Let me tell you this. What is your predictions for the Pistons this year in terms of success as a team? Because you did mention before you wouldn't be surprised if they made the playoffs.
I think they're going to win. They'll be over on 25.5 wins, I think. I think they'll
so
win more than 25
you're going back
games.
on the making the playoffs. You don't think that'll happen?
No, wait. Let me finish.
Okay.
I said they'll win more than 25. That's just the prop bet that was out.
Gotcha.
I think they're a 30-win team, 30 to 32. And in the East, that's enough to get you in a play-in game. But I don't care if they win the play-in game. They're going to probably get swept maybe a game round one. They're not contending or contenders yet.
No, of course.
No,
but
they could
with
be
the Houston
in 3-4
Rockets.
Years. Houston Rockets are going to win maybe, if they're lucky, 15 to 18 games.
So, with that being said, if Cade's putting up, we'd say Jalen Green might have a couple more points per game more. But if Cade's filling the stat sheet, and Jalen Green, we can all agree, he doesn't pass the ball as good as Cade Cunningham. He doesn't rebound as good. Doesn't play defense as good. So, if he looks better on the stat sheet and they're in the playoffs, how do you not give him the Rookie of the Year? And he's the best player on the team.
He won't be. Okay. Cade Cunningham right now is not the best player on the team. Jeremy Grant is.
He's holding on. I'd give him one more year. He's the best player. Like
Okay,
Jeremy Grant, you just said is a 3.
But he's a vet. He's played in the game, and he can. Okay, this is my point. Cade Cunningham, year one, is not going to be the star that you think he's going to be. Just year one.
I
not in a
agree
bad way.
with that.
Dwayne Casey will not give this kid the ball 60 to 70% of the time to walk up the court and dictate the offense. You have Killian Hayes who needs the ball. You have Cade Cunningham and Jeremy Grant. Those three alone. Sadiq Bey also going to ask for the ball. Like, this isn't an indictment on Cade. This is just Cade's situation. It's very simple. He's in a situation where Dwayne Casey is going to try to put together a good regular season team that he can grow his players individually over the course of the year. Great. I love it. Houston have no idea what they're doing. Kevin Porter Jr., I don't want to hear it. John Wall,
he got 50
I
last year,
don't want to
though.
hear it. Wow.
You think he's going to want the ball?
Game.
You think he's going to want the ball this year?
They can all want the ball. They're all not going to want the ball more than Jalen Green, who they just spent a number two overall pick on.
Okay.
They're not giving anybody on that team the ball more
and I
than
can
they
make
are
that
giving Jalen
argument
Green.
for the Pistons. We spent our number one pick on Cade Cunningham. Nobody should get this ball besides
Look at
him.
your coach. Your coach won't allow that. Your coach is going to develop Cade into what you want him to be, which is a superstar by year 5 or 6. A superstar, not just a star player. Cade's got to learn how to play the game. He already has the right intangibles mentally. He's a very mature 19-year-old. He needs year one to kind of get his feet under him. He'll learn how to play with others. Dwayne Casey will teach him the role. Don't expect all-star numbers from Cade Cunningham year one.
Either one.
Jalen Green can put up more than 20. He can put up more than 20 because he's going to be on a bad team. They're not going to be in games. He's going to take his. It's that simple.
You're saying
He's not
all-star
playing winning
numbers.
basketball.
More than that's.
I'm not saying all-star numbers. I said more than 20.
Okay, but you did say Cade won't put up all-star numbers. I was
Yeah,
wondering if you
Cade
say
won't.
Jalen
Yeah,
or
pivot
Jalen
your
or Cade.
Neither will be an all-star year one.
Yeah, of
but
course.
Jalen is in a better position to win Rookie of the Year, just like Jalen Suggs is in Orlando. They're playing with a bad team. They're going to be the number one. Cade is not the number one yet. He could be midway into the season, but 40 games would have passed before he became the number one. Just like LaMelo. The thing with LaMelo is it only took him about, I want to say, 25 for the team finally to start putting him out there, and he just started putting up almost a triple-double every night. That's why he won Rookie of the Year. So, Kennedy,
I said we'll wait and see. I think we'll visit this argument later in the season. I know we will.
Kennedy,
We for sure will.
Cade Cunningham,
Yes.
Jalen Green.
Yes.
What more
Ew.
can I say?
What more can we say? One, I love. The other, I hate. You know, there's not much more to say. But coming up, the Lions, they have an issue. Well, we have a few issues, but we're going to get into one specific issue. But before that, Jeff, do you have a friend for us?
I do. I have our buddies at Northwestern Tech, and let me tell you about them, because you can start a new career in an industry that is essential, the heating and cooling industry. Learn more today by visiting northwesterntech.edu.
Tony is a third-generation logger that has a simple, practical approach to life and work. That's why his Coast DX342 knife is perfect for him. The stainless steel blade is rust-resistant and made for all-weather use. And the double roll-lock safety ensures that it will never inadvertently close when he doesn't want it to. That's why Coast is trusted tough.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Morning Wood on the Woodward Sports Network. So happy to have you here, but some not so happy stuff. The Lions have a problem, and it's in their wide receiver cores. So it's interesting because it wasn't too long ago that the Lions were constantly getting roasted for drafting wide receivers. And now, look around. What do we have going for us? Not a lot. We've got St. Brown, and we think we've got Kennedy, and then we've already had some injuries with Tyrell Williams. It's not good. So what do you think, Jeff? How big of an issue is this for us?
Oh, it's a big issue. Anytime you have arguably the worst wide receiver core, maybe not even arguably, in the league, it's bad. It's very bad. I mean, you have Tyrell Williams, who I think he's a 2, a good 3 on a good team. It's hard because Tyrell Williams is a good receiver, but the numbers he's put up, he's never cleared over 700 yards, which is great. I mean, that's impressive, but it's not a wide receiver 1. He's coming into this team pretty much the only weapon besides TJ Hawkinson. You got, Amon-Ra St. Brown, who we don't know much about, and then, of course, Tyrell Williams. So, yes, it's a problem. You want more guys you can rely on. Jared Goff, I don't even know who necessarily is going to be his security blanket. You got TJ Hawkinson, of course, but when the defense focuses on TJ Hawkinson, who do we got? And it's hard to start naming off guys. And you can't really reach into free agency because we've already had the talk about Golden Tate. I'm not going to sign Alshon Jeffrey. There's 2 veterans that this team should not need or want. And besides that, this team should be looking at the waiver wire and seeing who possibly they can grab that they can turn into a solid player. But it's a problem, of course. This is something that the team's definitely going to address come this draft. 2 first-round picks. There's no reason why this team should be targeting a linebacker, a quarterback, or a wide receiver in this first round because it's a problem. And if people are saying you're going to win 8 to 9 to 10 games, you can't do it with only one tight end as a receiver. I mean, you got to have more guys that can open up. And I'm not going to sit here and say Amon-Ra St. Brown is going to have immediate impact because we don't know. I think he'll be a good player, but telling you guys he's going to come in and dominate is unlikely. So you got TJ Hawkinson, who I can say for sure is going to have a great year, but I can't say too much else other than that. So it's a problem. It's a big issue, and I know Adam will say something similar because it's something the fans you can't hide from. It's not looking good. It's not. Okay,
you look at the wide receiving core. It is a weakness. I don't want to beat it over the head too much. It is a weakness. Accept it. Tyrell Williams. If you want to sit up here and tell me that he's a 1, I can't take you seriously. He is a number 2 at best in a good situation if healthy. He's not a 1. What are we doing? You have Tyrell Williams, Quintez Cephas, who you'd ideally becomes your future 2. And then you have, let's say, Amon-Ra St. Brown turns out to be what everybody wants him to be, which is the next Golden Tate, the Yak King, and he's your slot. Good. You're still missing a 1. Now, Adam, what is a 1? What does a 1 do for a football team? I do agree to an extent, or I believe I should say, that just because you have a number 1 wide receiver, it does not guarantee anything. We've seen that over some of the best wide receivers in our lifetime have had 0 team success. But in today's NFL, Patrick Mahomes has Tyreek Hill. Josh Allen went from a questionable quarterback to an MVP candidate with Stephon Diggs. You need a number 1 if you want to be one of the great teams in the NFL. And the way you get your number 1 is you draft them, you blossom them, and by year 2 or 3, they clearly show they're alphas. That's simple. And then you got to pay them. Now, if you want to go out in free agency and get a number 1 on the market, if you're getting a number 1 on the market, 99 times out of 100, I promise you it's not a 1 if he's available on free agency.
No.
So it's not a 1. Tyrell is not a 1. He's acting as your 1 because you're in a bad situation. You're in a rebuild, and you need an Amon-Ra St. Brown to develop this year. You need another wide receiver that you draft next year to develop over the year following. You're in a rebuild. What happens when you get to the goal line? You're just going to run the ball down teams' throat? I hope so. We'll see. That'd be nice. But you're not going to be able to throw the ball because the moment you drop back, Hawkinson is getting the linebacker and the safety. So he's not an option. Tyrell Williams, what are you going to do? Run fade routes with Tyrell Williams, Cephas? Amon-Ra St. Brown? Who's running your dig routes? Who? Who's going to make tough catches in the NFL for you? There's nobody on the roster right now yet to prove they're capable of that. And the wide receiving unit is going to be not, it might be, not Adam, no, it could be good. It's serviceable at best. It will not be good. It'll be ugly to watch. And whether you like it or not, Tyrell Williams is not a 1. He's a 2 in a great situation. Maybe in a Kansas City, he would fit perfectly as a number 2. That's it. That's it.
And let me address this real quick, because us saying he's not a wide receiver 1 isn't saying he won't be our wide receiver 1. I don't think we'll have a choice. He's going to be our wide receiver 1. My point is, he put up 1K when he was 24 years old, 1K yards. He had 120 targets that year. Since then, he hasn't cleared over 70 targets. So the targets I don't think are going to be there this year. You got TJ Hawkinson. I think he'll share the wealth a little bit, and we're going to be running the ball a lot. So for you to sit here and tell me, he's 6 years into the NFL, he's going to put up 1K yards this year, then I just don't want to put my money on it. I don't have faith in Tyrell Williams. I think he's a good wide receiver. Like I said, good wide receiver 2 on a good team. Right now, I think by default he's our wide receiver 1. But if you guys want to put your faith in him, go ahead. But there's not a lot of depth, man. It's tough. If you got Khalif Raymond, who's a great returner and can be a great slot receiver for us, but if you're putting him at wide receiver 2, it's a problem. And I don't know how you can say otherwise. It just doesn't make sense.
Look, again, Tyrell Williams is a nice piece, but it's not the nice piece you take out to a fancy dinner. It just isn't. That's not a dime. You don't have a number 1. It's okay. Cool. He will act as your number 1. But he is not at his best when he's the number 1. We always said this about Marvin Jones. How good did Marvin Jones look? How nice was it to have Marvin Jones out there when Kenny Galladay was out there? Was Kenny Galladay a true 1? No, but he was borderline what you'd expect from a 1. He didn't put up 1 numbers, but he acted as your 1. And when you have that, your 2s, like a Marvin Jones, like a Tyrell Williams, really start to shine because they're not getting as much attention. They're more in one-on-one situations where they can look good. Hawkinson is, again, a very good tight end, but he's not part of your receiving core.
No.
He's not. Your wide receiving core has one proven wide receiver who at best is a number 2, and that's Tyrell Williams. Quintez Cephas, we all have questions about. Amon-Ra St. Brown. Everybody loves to rave about him, and I think it's really good news coming out. Kid's got a good head on his shoulder. He's feisty. Cool, I like that. Like that from a wide receiver. He puts up 3 catches for 14 yards, and we're in here the next day throwing our papers in the air. What a steal. What are we doing? Kennedy?
We have some info. Taking this from Dave Burkett. So the Lions waived Craig Reynolds, which is interesting.
Yep.
And they actually have, it says their number 5 wide receiver. Broncos have traded wide receiver Trinity Benson to the Lions in exchange for a 5th round and 7th round pick in 2022. So there you
go.
have
I
it.
mean,
Trinity Benson?
Yeah, I kind of expected they're going to make some
Broncos.
moves. I mean, but for an unproven guy, he's 24, hasn't really put up stats in the league. I don't know his collegiate stats. I know he went to I don't know where he went to college.
He's
but,
got 0 career stats.
Okay, well
And
that's
we gave up a 5th and a 7th?
not sure about the 2 picks.
Are they
for him.
conditional picks? Where if he doesn't play a game, we get the picks back? I mean,
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that trade. 2 picks.
I don't know
is
enough.
quite
All I know is it doesn't make sense.
No,
I need St. Brown and I need Cephas to get as many targets this year as possible. So I can see, are they going to be good? Cephas more than Brown because Brown's year 1 and he's a rookie. But Cephas, coming off a disappointing year 1, I'd like to see him bounce back. Get about 70, 80 targets. Have a catch rate maybe, 56, 58%? That'd be nice. Put up some good yards. Oof. I don't know what this does. I really don't. This doesn't make any sense to me.
I think a 5th.
This guy doesn't have a single reception in his NFL career.
That's
and we
a
gave
problem.
up a 5th and a 7th?
Now
You know what you can find in a 5th and a 7th round? You can find a good backup running back, linebacker, corner, a special teamer. We're giving that up for a wide receiver who won't be on the roster next year? Unbelievable.
Listen, he's a rookie.
Unbelievable.
He's a rookie wide receiver from East Central University, so he's young. But like Adam just said, 5th and a 7th is a lot. I think if you would have gave like a 6th or whatever the case may be, so be it. But 2 picks for next year, especially
How do we give up 2 picks, receive nothing but a wide receiver? Can someone give me the
who
information?
hasn't played at all? Yeah,
Is that the correct information? Do we not get
Yeah.
anything?
We got that in a 6th round pick.
Oh, he's undrafted too. This
We
is
gave
undrafted.
a 5th. We gave a 5th and a 7th. We got a 6th and a receiver.
Who's
Okay,
undrafted?
I don't hate that.
Undrafted.
I
out
hate
of,
the receiver part of it.
Yeah.
But you basically upgraded your 7th into a 6th round pick, is what you did. That's what you did. You upgraded your 7th into a 6th.
Yeah,
Whatever.
that makes sense.
Oh, my goodness.
Some people in the chat are now a bit nervous for Tom Kennedy. They're saying he's getting cut unless we keep 6 wide receivers. What do you think about that?
I mean, what do you guys expect? Look at the
Yeah.
wide receiving unit.
Yeah.
If Tom Kennedy is fighting for a starting spot on your wide receiving unit, you've got problems. You've got problems. Could he be a good gadget? Could he be good on the practice squad? I'm sure they'll keep him. But what do you have? You have nothing. Who's Trinity Benson? He doesn't have a catch in the NFL. Is he an undrafted rookie this year, or is he
2019,
2000? So 2
Yeah,
years.
2 years
This
ago.
is 3rd year,
and he hasn't played NFL
and he hasn't
football.
played a single down in the NFL.
That's a little worrying.
yeah.
But he will
But
get
no,
opportunities.
it's not a worry. I could care less. He won't be on the roster next year.
Oh, so that
I think the move was you gave up the 5th and 7th to upgrade and get a 6th. Because Trinity Benson, how is he going to get playing time when you have Quintez Cephas, Tyrell Williams, and Amon-Ra St. Brown, unless 2 of them get hurt? Even 1. That's what you're like. Unless you really didn't like the depth you had at wide receiver, which we can all agree it wasn't amazing,
Right.
then okay, go get Trinity Benson. Maybe you see something in him that nobody else sees. He's 6 foot, 180 pounds.
he's on the practice squad for the last 2 years with the Broncos.
Wow, this move. Okay, first the Crosby move. If they waive Craig Reynolds, that's fine. He's a story.
They like Jamar Jefferson.
We saw the
Yeah.
Cleveland Browns kid score what? That amazing kick return touchdown. He didn't make the team, and they made the playoffs the next year. Or that season, I should say. Like, there's always a story in preseason. It's nice. He'll make a practice squad. He'll make $60K a year being on the practice squad. It's a good living until maybe he gets his next opportunity. That's great. But you drafted Jamar Jefferson. You've seen the flashes. You're not bringing in a 4th running back.
No.
It's just not going to happen. He'll be on the practice squad until DeAndre Swift gets hurt, and then they'll bring him up. It's that simple.
I just want to see the man on the field. So Trinity Benson, as much as question marks as we have about the trade itself, just see the man catching footballs, and we'll determine it from there. That's all.
Yeah, interesting. Just interesting because we've been hearing so much about how Dan Campbell liked Tom Kennedy, but here we are. Nothing we can do about it now. right? But coming up, we've got to talk about Jared Goff and some comments that he made. I'm sure Adam has a few super nice things to say about it. But before we go, let's hear about one of our friends from Adam.
All right, well, guys, every Friday night, we are doing an amazing broadcast with The Prep. It's a partnership with Woodward Sports and The Prep. We're broadcasting Friday Night Lights, or we like to call it Friday Night Clash, of some of the best high school football games going on in the state of Michigan. And this week, it'll be Southfield versus Birmingham Groves. It'll be at Birmingham Groves, which is down the street, maybe 5-10 minutes from where we are here in downtown Birmingham. Come out, join us. Stick's going to be down there. Mikey, myself, Jeff, we're all going to be down there having a good time, hyping up the crowd. And, hey, we're broadcasting it live on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook. You know where to catch it. When we come back from the break, like Kennedy said, somebody made comments that I don't agree with at all. And it's not that I don't agree with them only. It's really, I'll tell you why after the break.
Hi, I'm David Hall from Hall Financial. And at Hall Financial, we treat our clients like family. And our number one priority is giving each of our clients 5-star service. Our passion for 5-star service, combined with our expertise, allows us to find the best possible solution for refinancing your home loan. We take the time to focus on both the individual and the numbers. We're going to walk you through the process and close your loan in half the time of our competition. Go to davidhallmortgage.com today.
Welcome back, everyone. Thanks so much for tuning in to the Morning Wood on the Woodward Sports Network. Happy to have you here. But like we said, Jared Goff made some comments. I'll read them to you if you're unaware. So, Goff came out and said yesterday, "We feel really good. I've talked about this at length. Internally, our expectation is to win games and, first of all, win the division. That's always the expectation. Win the division and then go from there. Externally, I couldn't care less, and honestly, I don't know what it would be." I'm not really sure what that end was referring to, but he wants to win the division. He thinks they can. He says, why not us? So, Adam, tell him why not us.
Jared, I'll tell you why. Your former employer gave up 2 first-round picks and you to push you out of the door. The roster right now isn't good enough to be competing with a Green Bay, with a Minnesota, let alone even Chicago. So, Jared, why not us? I'll tell you why, buddy. If you want to believe the team can win 6-8 games, that's very optimistic. God bless you. You don't win the NFC North winning 6-8 games. You don't. So, yeah, Jared, why not us? You know, again, the expectation is to win football games, but when you go out in San Francisco and you get punched in the face, and it's like, oh, man, we got work to do. So, no, this team won't be competing for the NFC North. No, this team won't be competing even for a wild card spot. And if they do win 6-7 games, you can consider that an overachievement, but that does nothing because they're not competing right now. So, by the laws of math and science, if you have a higher pick, you have a higher probability of getting the right player. Now, does it always work? No. We've all seen what we did with Ebron, passing on Aaron Donald the pick prior. I can give you many examples of when it doesn't work. But what I can tell you is you're taking probability right now. And the probability is, if you win 5 to 7 football games, you're going to be picking anywhere from, I'd say, 7 to maybe 11 or 12. Depends. Okay? Or you win 5 or under, and you're picking in the top 5. And if you don't want to take a quarterback because Jared Goff impressed you for some reason, you can trade that pick to a team that wants to move up for a quarterback, build assets, and stockpile your team and build it. They're in a win-win situation. I don't think they should be going out there to... Not that they shouldn't. You want to go out every game with the right attitude. Again, the comment is fine, but no, why not? I'll tell you why not. I gave you every freaking reason why in the book, why not? You are not going to be winning football games this year with that team. Sorry, buddy. You've been on the decline for 3 years. Your play has declined for 3 years. You've had more turnovers year to year overall. Your QBR has been inconsistent. It's been down over 2 of the last 3 years. You've thrown more interceptions, fewer touchdowns, lower completion percentage. Sorry. This team is not competing for the NFC North, Jeff.
Let me start by saying this. I respect Jared Goff and what he has to say. Comes in, what is else he supposed to say? He's not going to say we're going to suck. We have no talent on this team. Obviously, his goal is to win the division, and he doesn't listen to external talk from the media, from the fans. So he has every right to think that. He doesn't listen to what me and Adam have to say about what we realistically think expectations for the Lions are. He's just going out there, going through a good training camp with the team, and and not acknowledging the wide receiver issues and all that. But yes, from that standpoint, he's right. You can go out and say, I'm going to go win the division, we're going to have success, but as someone who his job is to come up here and critique, the Detroit Lions, I've said before, I have the Lions at 5 to 6 wins. I can't sit here and say they're going to win a division. I just don't have faith in them. We can argue back and forth, me and Adam, about where they are in the NFC North, but in reality, they're nowhere near the top. You got a Green Bay Packers team who's going to be in double-digit wins this year, a Vikings team who very well could be close to double-digit wins, and a Chicago Bears team that might just be out of that. So it's not going to be no easy walk. What? Don't give me clap.
Jelani Tavai has been cut. God bless this country.
Are you serious?
God bless the United States. God bless Brad Holmes, and God bless the Detroit Lions.
No way.
This couldn't have been any better. God bless Corey Woods for tweeting it out.
Okay, that's
God
breaking news.
bless you, Corey.
Hold on. Move on from Jared Goff real quick. We got to talk about this device stuff.
My goodness.
This is a relief. Because, like we just said earlier, I did make the point. If Dan Campbell's going to say Tyrell Crosby just wasn't one of the best guys, that's why we got rid of him, then why is Tavai still here? And he answered that question for us, thanks to our guy, Detroit Lions beat writer Corey Woods, for breaking that to us. And I am thrilled, Adam. And you did make the point earlier, the depth in this linebacker room is not very good, but doesn't mean you can't find a replacement, because he wasn't very good. And you know this too, Adam.
This is very promising. This is very promising. This is a very good sign. Barnes is going to get much more playing time, which I'm very, very excited to see. Again, Lions fans, year one, don't come at me with expectations that you're going to actually think you're going to win 8, 9, 10 football games. Get it out of your head.
Well, get it out of your head.
Fish, be quiet for 1 second. Having said that, you get to watch Jeff Okudah, Barnes, St. Brown, Cephas, your D linemen that you took, Levy, you have Iffy. There are so many players that you can just watch grow this year that will make you optimistic towards the future. You've gotten rid of Tavai. Good. That bum is not playing anymore. That is a very good move. I get to see more Derek Barnes. I love it. But again, he's not going to... All right. Tavai is not going to go to another team and play any better. I promise you. The Najee Harris play alone tells you exactly what he is. He reacts. He's not thinking. He doesn't play ahead. When you play the linebacker position, it's actually a very demanding position on the brain. It's a super mental position on the defensive side of the ball. You need to not only understand what the quarterback is doing, what the running back is doing, but what the offensive line is doing, and what your defensive line is doing, what your safeties are doing, and what your coverage is. You need to understand all of this and where you fit in that individual play. Thank goodness this bum is gone. Brad Holmes, thank you very much. Congratulations to every Detroit Lions fan. This is a very special moment for everybody. The second-round pick that nobody knew of is finally gone. I'm very happy about it. I couldn't be more excited about it. And again, another good sign that this team under Brad Holmes is heading in the right direction. I'm all for it. It's a great move.
No, it's a great move. You can't argue with it. And this shows us that Brad Holmes' talent evaluation and player personnel, he just knows it. He knows it, man. And we might be saying here as fans, cut Jelani Tavai. We might make our own evaluations, but he sees it. He's watching these football games, and he saw the play Najee Harris made on him that might have just sealed the deal. And it's not just that. There's way other plays, back in the season and the preseason. So to end it right there, let's all celebrate because it's a good day for all Detroit Lions fans.
Brad Holmes, I owe you a steak dinner, my friend. Thank you so much for making that move. I cannot tell you guys how well I will sleep at night knowing that Jelani Tavai is not a Detroit Lion anymore. It's a great move. The next bum we need gone is Adam from Woodward Sports. All right, well, I'll go to the meeting room.
Adam has a no-trade clause.
We'll have a conversation with everybody,
here.
And we'll see if we want to cut me. And if we want to cut me, we'll move on. But I think it's a great move. It really reassures me on what I've been saying, which is year one, just throw out expectations, enjoy watching the games. Just enjoy them. Hopefully they come out with grit, tenacity. They're fighting. They're not accepting losing. Good. I'm all for that. But they're not going to be a good football team. All right, let's accept that. Move on. Know that year 2, in this upcoming draft, you're going to be drafting a quarterback more likely than not, because you have 2 first-round picks over the next 2 seasons. So over the next 2 seasons, you might be drafting, you will be drafting a quarterback in one of the 2 years, preferably this upcoming draft, just so you can sit him for a year. Jared Goff gets off the books. You can bring in veterans on the defensive and offensive side of the ball. Like, guys, history is repeating itself. If you would just shut up and listen and get on board. They're doing it the right way. It's not going to happen year 1. Don't judge. Do not judge Dan Campbell year 1 unless he's going out there and making obvious coaching mistakes.
Right.
But no, go out there. Let the team play. They're going to lose a lot of football games. That's okay given the trajectory they're on. They're actually doing things the right way. So I would encourage all of you to get on the 2 to 3 year Lions are going to be NFC North contenders bandwagon, because it ain't going to be year 1. And I promise you'll just be disappointed, and you'll come back to me in the offseason and tell me, Adam, same old Lions. I don't want to say that. I don't like saying same old Lions. There's a reason why I've never said it. I don't believe in it. I think this team, with this front office, is finally taking appropriate measures that structured companies actually take when they're trying to grow and improve and move on from their past. I like the moves. I absolutely like them. I couldn't be happier. I really couldn't be happier. This has been 57 years in the making to finally see competent moves. Now, could Brad Holmes still mess it up? Could Dan Campbell not be the coach? Yes, there's so many factors that need to go well for this to all pan out. But if Dan Campbell isn't the coach, but you still built a good roster, you could just get rid of the coach in 3 years and bring in the coach who's going to take the team to the next level. We've seen that happen so many times. The Rams had a loaded roster. They had just drafted Jared Goff. Fisher was an awful head coach, ruined the entire locker room. Sean McVay walks in, sits his team for the preseason, 11-5, 13-3, Super Bowl. It's all out there. Go look at Seattle. Go look at Kansas City. It's all out there. Brad Holmes, more than any of us in this room, and especially any of you in the chat, know exactly what they're doing. And I'm all for this. I couldn't be more pleased. I don't want to just nag on this guy because he's a horrible player, but when you make moves like that, you're making it clear. We're not accepting individuals who not only play team ball, but who just aren't improving day to day. Your job, your sole responsibility as an individual, both at home and on the football field, is to become a better man or woman every single day. And if you can't do that, you have no business working here. I'm all for it. Kennedy, I couldn't be happier. I really couldn't be happier.
I'm so glad that you're happy. But coming up next, we've got to talk about Jim Harbaugh. He has named his starter. Stick around for that. But first, Jeff, do you want to tell us about our friends at Papa Romano's?
Don't say that.
Let me tell you about Papa Romano's. All right, Papa Romano's handcrafts pizza that has been made a Detroit favorite for over 50 years. House-made dough, hand-cut veggies, and fresh cheese make the difference. The same quality goes onto all their pizzas, subs, salads, and pitas. Order yours now at paparomanos.com.
Welcome to the Call Sam Chopper Shop, where you can win a custom-built chopper while helping our veterans at the same time.
Watch as the Bad Pig Custom team turns this bike into a one-of-a-kind classic chopper.
And when it's finished, we'll be donating the bike to Volunteers of America Michigan to raffle off in support of our vets.
A great cause to give back to those who've given so much.
Watch for Call Sam Chopper Shop episodes on our social media channels and get your raffle ticket today at callsam.com/chopper shop.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Morning Woodward Show. So happy to have you here. Thanks for hanging out with us and sticking around. Make sure you give us a follow at Woodward Sports if you're not already, or you can follow our Morning Woodward stuff, too. Could be fun. You get to see a lot more Jeff and Adam. I know you guys miss them when they're on. But anyway, Jim Harbaugh has named Cade McNamara his starter. What do you guys think about this? Adam.
All right. We all know McCarthy is the backup right now, and I'm sure we're all excited for what he could be. Was he good enough to start year one? I don't know. I actually don't know. Now, is it going to blow up in Jim Harbaugh's face if they're 3-0 or 2-1, let's say they drop a game early, and Cade is playing awful, that will be the final straw before they even get to the Michigan State game, which I think is their game of the year. If they lose to Michigan State, I'm saying it right now, I will come up here that Monday morning, and I will be all in on the Jim Harbaugh needs to go bandwagon. If they lose to Mel Tucker 2 straight years in a rebuild. Not having it. But let's go back to Cade McNamara being the starting quarterback. I don't hate it. Jim Harbaugh's trying to win 8-9 games this year. Ideally, if he gets to 9 wins at the end of the season, and then they get a bowl game in and they win it 10, maybe if they're lucky. I highly doubt 10. But the expectation is anywhere from 7 to 9. That's what you're expecting going into the season. But this is the first time, again, under Jim Harbaugh, that you're not expecting much from the team. And I think that's very dangerous for any football team, not just Michigan. When teams and the media doubt you, it brings your team together. Mm-hmm. Michigan has always been, they should be the team. This is the year. They're in the AP top 10 going into the year. They're going to, they win a game, they blow out, win a team, whatever, they win by 54, let's say. Oh my goodness, Michigan's back. Michigan's back. They're on track. Defense looks good. And they go up to 5th in the polls. Like, no, we're done with this. They've lost all the big games. Cade McNamara, I hope, has significantly improved from last season. And if he has, they could start 5-0, potentially 6-0. And that's not being optimistic or dramatic. Look at their first 3 games. They're throwaways. You get to October, Wisconsin, Nebraska. Nebraska just lost to Illinois and their head coach's debut. Nebraska football is not Nebraska from the 80s and 90s, let me remind all of you. They're still trying to recruit and play football like it's the 80s and 90s. So Nebraska's a wash. Consider that a win. That's 4. You get to Wisconsin. Wisconsin have been on the down. And their former head coach, who actually took them to multiple Big Ten championships, is in Illinois now. So Wisconsin, you don't know what you're getting out of Wisconsin. So this team can easily head into the thick of their Big Ten schedule, 5-0, and everybody's opinions could change. Do I want to see McCarthy? I do. I really preferred it. But I don't mind this because if Jim Harbaugh is making this decision, and let's keep in mind Jim Harbaugh, Mr. 49-22 over his career at Michigan. You can tell me he's 0-5 against Ohio State all you want. He's brought Michigan to where they used to be, which is we are going to win 8, 9, 10 games a year, and we're going to lose to Ohio State because that's what Michigan is, and that's what it's been for the last 30 years. Outside of 97 and 03 and 06. 3 instances where you actually won big games that mattered. And it had season implications. Not you strolled into the final game of the year against Ohio State, and they were 6-5, and they were about to hire Urban Meyer after that season ended, and you beat them, and that's the win you're going to hold on to with Brady Hoke? That's your win? Jim Harbaugh, whether you like him or not, whether he's delivered or not, has brought Michigan to what they always have been, which is a team that never wins the Big Ten and never competes on a national scale. But their brand is so powerful that we perceive they are. And that's just a fact. So Cade being the starter, I'm okay with it. I would have liked McCarthy, but I don't think he's polished yet. So give me Cade. If they win 8, 9 games, I think that's a good season for Michigan.
I think Cade, rightfully so, has earned this starting spot. Number one, because J.J. McCarthy's a freshman. He's coming in. I don't think, there's guys like C.J. Stroud for Ohio State who's starting as a freshman, but it's just different circumstances. Cade, last year, 5 touchdowns, 0 interceptions in 4 games, but let's just walk through those 4 games. He had 4 touchdowns in 1 of those games, so he only had a touchdown there one of the 3 remaining games. So he lost to Wisconsin 49-11, and it was a weird year last year, so I'm not going to get too much into it, but this is what we're getting out of Cade this year is higher expectations. Like Adam said, I think the very start of the schedule, I don't think he'll lose the job at all early. I mean, you're versing Western Michigan.
You lose one of the 3 games, I think. That's a bad
It's a bad sign, of course. So J.J. McCarthy's going to get looked at immediately if he loses the Rutgers, Washington, Northern Illinois, or Western Michigan. He's got to clear those 4 wins. And I'm not saying Cade's the man. I think Jim Harbaugh, towards the end of the season, JJ might even be in there, or if not, starting next year. But I think as a junior, this is Cade. He's going to come in. He's the more experienced guy. But I wouldn't take too much into it because we've got such a small sample size in Cade's whole collegiate career that it's not enough to say he's going to win them, take them here, beat Ohio State. I mean, there's... like Adam said, we don't even know about Wisconsin because they lost last year, a blowout to Wisconsin. So both teams are going against each other in the 5th game of the season. So we'll wait and see. But my reaction to Cade starting is it's just what Jim has to do. He's not going to start a freshman this year in a year where I know we say he has less expectations, but he has more expectations at the same time. He's got to win 9-10 games with a bowl game possibly, and I don't know if that's doable with Cade. I don't know a whole lot about him. But what we will see is come year 2 or possibly end of year 1, J.J. McCarthy will be in there. And I think he'll be, he's more talented than Cade. I don't think Cade's going to stick off the page with his talent. He just has that it factor to win some games for you. And that's really the only reason why I see him starting for him. So
I think, again, Harbaugh's in a unique situation, right? 2-4 last year. It was a COVID year. They played awful. He lost to Michigan. Again, I am on right now, and I'll make it very clear going into the season before we kick off this weekend. Jim Harbaugh will only be on the hot seat if he loses to Michigan State. If you think Jim Harbaugh walking in 9-3, let's say, into the final game of the year, or 8-4, or 8-3, whatever it may be, against an Ohio State team that is probably going to be undefeated by then, and he loses, he needs to go. What are you talking about? You've beaten Ohio State 3 times maybe in the last 21 years, 22 years. What are you talking about? Who are you to pin Ohio State on this head coach when in the 7 years prior, you didn't even win you've won less games. You were never pulled in the top 3. You've been there twice under Jim Harbaugh. May I remind you, you've made it to the final game of the year against Ohio State, pulled number 2 in the country and number 3. And one of them, you lost in double overtime. The other, you lost on a bad call. The rest of the blowouts, I mean, those are inexcusable. But my point is, Jim Harbaugh has actually gotten you to where you want to be. On the cusp, at the end of the year, with an opportunity to play in the Big Ten title game. He's done that multiple times for you. You have a bad year last year? Of course he did. It's awful. He's 49-22. You compare his first 7 seasons, or his 6 seasons, to Dabo Swinney. 49-22, Jim Harbaugh. 51-23, Dabo Swinney. Very similar. Oh, Adam, Dabo Swinney's one of the best. You know what Dabo Swinney didn't have going into those first 6 years? A quarterback. Neither did Jim Harbaugh. You know what happened year 7 for Dabo Swinney? Deshaun Watson won the Natty, and then lost the Natty. Well, actually, he lost, and then he won one with Deshaun Watson. And then he won one with Trevor Lawrence. And then he lost one with Trevor Lawrence. And that has been Dabo Swinney absolutely recruiting the best quarterbacks over the last 6-7 years. But you compare his first 6 seasons to Jim's. Clemson's strength of schedule was 3.03. Jim Harbaugh's was 5.08. I don't want to hear it. If you want to be that naive towards what Jim Harbaugh has brought to the program, that's fine. I'm telling you now, show me a coach available, that's better. And I'll say, that makes sense. It's time for a change. Till you can show me that, I'm not interested. Unless he loses to Michigan State. He drops the ball against Michigan State. He's got to go. I'll personally drive him to the airport, which reminds me, we've got 40 minutes. I need to drive to Vi to the airport. So, Jeff, please continue.
God, you just lost my track. We both got to take Divide to the airport. He needs both of us to take him because we got to make sure he leaves and never comes back. But to your point about Jim Harbaugh. You do make that comparison with Dabo Swinney, but the only thing I would say is like you said, what turned the table for Dabo Swinney was, getting Deshaun Watson, getting a Trevor Lawrence. My question is, number one, he's hoping J.J. McCarthy turns into that, of course, but why hasn't Jim Harbaugh been able to find that quarterback? It just surprises me, considering he's a NFL head coach, and you think what guys would want to go play for him. You know what I mean? Like it's just surprising to me that he hasn't gotten more talent. Shea Patterson, of course, but it is what it is. Now he's got Cade, and I'm hoping J.J. McCarthy can kind of turn into that transcendent quarterback who can possibly even go, in the top 10 coming when he's a junior. So that's what he's banking on, because if Cade's your starter this year and next year as a senior, you're in some trouble. I think Cade's a good quarterback. I don't think he's beaten Ohio State. And I don't think he's, he lost to Penn State last year, so you don't even know if he's beaten Penn State. So it is what it is. And those are my final thoughts. Jim Harbaugh this year is under some pressure. And I know he lowered his pay, and you could say the expectations are lifted, but it isn't. I think this year is big for him, and if he's going to make changes, it's going to be on the shoulders of Cade, and if he doesn't play particularly well, JJ will find a spot to start, but it is what it is, So that's pretty much it, Kennedy. You can take it from here.
Oh, thanks, Jeff. Good insight, you guys. Coming up next, we're going to debate whose career you rather have. We'll tell you who we're debating between when we come back. This is Woodward Sports.
Okay, you thirsty little spin goblins. I want you to pedal into the next dimension. Spin it! Spin! Spin! Uh-oh! Carmen's falling behind. Let's give her the hiss of shame. Spin! Spin! Spin till you bleed!
Don't ride the bike of shame. Come to Planet Fitness and find your own lane with tons of equipment, free fitness training, and no hissing. Join today for just $10 a month.
Welcome back, you guys. Thanks so much for hanging out with us on the Morning Wood. So happy to have you here. All right, so we're going to debate whose career you'd rather have, Robert Horry or Charles Barkley. So let me give some insight. Wow, probably not a word. All right, Horry played 16 seasons in the NBA and won 7 championships. Charles Barkley was an 11-time NBA All-Star, an 11-time member of the All-NBA team, and the 1993 NBA MVP. So, Jeff, tell me, which career are you taking?
This is tough because I know how important winning a championship is to these players. It is very important. It solidifies your legacy. It puts you in a very important conversation. But to me personally, and if you can answer this, answer in the chat what you'd rather do. I would have Charles Barkley's career because he didn't have success of finding a ring, but the man still, compiled almost 24,000 points and almost 13,000 rebounds. So, it's a pretty impressive career. I mean, you're in the record books. It's just you don't necessarily have rings. I mean, Charles Barkley, you still know his name to this day. I mean, he's a legend in his own right. Not, you're not going to say he's one of the best players of all time, but if he had 5 rings, maybe he would be in that conversation. But I digress. I would take Charles Barkley's career, and I figure what Adam's going to say. But before he goes, it's more about just you got more bragging rights. If you win all these championships and you're a role player, and Big Shot Rob hit some big shots, I will say that. But let's just talk in perspective. If I'm a role player and I win 3-4 championships, yes, it's good. J.R. Smith, for example, he's got 2 rings. There's guys who have rings, but if you're bragging to your friends, like, hey, guys, I won a championship, they're going to ask, well, what'd you do? And if you didn't do much, I just don't feel like I can brag correctly. If I'm the main guy on every single team and I'm stacking record books and I've gotten buckets in the NBA, that's something I could brag about. And I know an NBA championship is the most important thing. I won't argue that. But just your personable just achievement. I would take the statistics, and people might disagree with me there, but yeah, I'm rolling with the statistics, Adam. So I want to hear what you got to say.
All right. Well, this it was more difficult than I thought. When I first read it, I'm like, oh my goodness, Charles Barkley all day. And then I looked at it more, and I was like, all right, it's definitely Charles Barkley. It's not Robert Horry. Look, Robert Horry does have 7 chips. It's amazing. But the best year he had in the NBA was year 3, where he averaged 10.2 points a game.
He's a role player.
He's a role player who has had big shots and big moments, and we remember him as Big Shot Rob. And that's amazing. But, you know, this is like personal. What would you prefer to be? I would rather be Charles Barkley, knowing that I gave everything I could. I carried my teams. I lost to the best player of all time in the finals. I didn't get it done. You know what? I can accept that. I was the alpha. I'd rather be that than a J.R. Smith or Robert Horry is much more accomplished and much more of a team player than J.R. Smith, so I don't think it's fair to compare the two.
No.
Robert Horry hit shots that obviously piss off many Pistons fans, but may I remind you of the Portland shot when he was in L.A.?
Yeah.
Like, this guy you look at San Antonio. This guy had a knack for hitting the big shots.
Crazy.
He was always there for the rebound, for the open three. He was always available and ready to make that shot. And the thing that stumped me here wasn't just that, Barkley was an alpha and, I'd prefer to be an alpha. No, it's Robert Horry is a legend. It's not like he's some scrub who walked his way into 7 championships. God, no. But Charles Barkley was an MVP. Carried his teams to the finals. The dude was a baller. You look at Zion Williamson, that's who I compare to Charles Barkley. Zion is an unpolished version of Charles Barkley. Charles Barkley was a menace. He was unplayable. You couldn't stop Barkley from getting to the rim. Now, the only thing Barkley absolutely sucks at is golf. But if you just look past that, I would, that's the one that stumps me, because I don't want to be Charles Barkley and I can't golf in my late 50s and 60s. Like, that'd be very demoralizing for me. So if I had to choose between the two, it would be Barkley career-wise, but my goodness, no. Barkley was an alpha. He wasn't some bum just putting up numbers. Barkley was the definition of a superstar in the NBA who carried his teams to multiple conference championship games, to an NBA Finals, and he just so happened to lose to the best player in basketball history. So, no, I'm definitely not taking Robert Horry. I'm not sure what you expected. It definitely wasn't going to be Robert Horry. Although the 7 rings is very attractive. If you just remove Charles Barkley's golf swing, this would be so much easier for me. But I could not. I don't know. Sorry. It's got to be Charles. Got to be Charles. Can't be Robert. Kennedy, I'm actually interested to hear, who do you think? What career would you prefer? The career of a champion / role player, or the career of a guy who was the alpha lead, one of the best players at his position of all time, yet never accomplished anything in the team game?
Me personally, I'm not an alpha person. You know this, Adam. You have to tell me to be more aggressive every day, I guess. Or not aggressive. What am I looking for? Assertive is the better word. But no, I'm none of those things. So I'll just sit my pretty butt on the championship team and ride it out, because I don't, like to lose, or like to be a leader. So I'm going to go with the first. Is that bad? Is that bad?
Some people in the chat are saying titles as well. So you know what?
I mean, if you look at it, you're only saying titles because the other player on the other side, which is Charles, didn't win a title. Mm-hmm. So again, Horry's got 7, which is why it's even a conversation. If he just had 1 or 2,
right,
nobody would be having this conversation.
True.
But he's got 7. He's hit big-time shots. He's been in big games. He's played well in big games. Now, he wasn't the lead star on the team. He was the 4th, 5th, maybe 6th option at times. So, again, for me, personally, it'd be hard to stomach just being a guy that sat around at the table. And because those 3 guys were so good, I benefited from that.
And he did hit shots.
I would rather walk away from my career knowing that I did everything possible and was extremely good at what I did, and I still came up short, than I sat on the sidelines and I made a play or two.
He wasn't really sitting on the sidelines.
I mean, it's basically Steve Kerr, but at power forward.
And let me say this too, real quickly. This is a personable question. This isn't like, it's not like if Adam says Charles, it's Charles. It's everyone's opinion. Like my personal opinion. Dark made a great point. Which one had a bigger payday? So Charles Barkley, and I'm taking that. So chase the bag. You could say I have 7 rings, but you'll probably end up selling those rings for cash once you retire. So I'm going with Charles Barkley. That's just personal. You guys can pick whatever you want. That's what's fun about the question.
Yeah, and honestly, I'd rather have Charles' sense of humor. So
yeah, the guy's fun.
If I age that well, I'd be very happy.
Yeah.
If I age that well and I can make those kind of jokes and laugh at myself every once in a while, I'd be a happy person.
Argue with Shaq every day.
Oh my goodness.
That would be fine.
One more thing I think is super important before we move on from this. We're comparing a superstar player to a role player. And I don't think that's fair. I mean, we could do this with, let's say, a Jason Kidd and Steve Kerr. Who would you rather have? Whose career? Steve Kerr, who hit a few big shots, but was a role player on a good team? Or Jason Kidd, a guy who took his team to back-to-back NBA Finals, lost them both, was a triple-double master, was basically LeBron James before LeBron showed up, him and Grant Hill. I mean,
and Jason Kidd.
It's tough. It's tough. Steve Kerr has the rings, but I'm taking Kidd. Again, like, when do you separate individual accomplishment and team accomplishment? And if you're asking individually, what do you prefer? Realistically, it's got to be Barkley. You would rather have been the alpha. You would have rather been the star. You would have rather gotten paid more. You would have rather known it was on you to deliver and hold yourself accountable at the end of the day. And that's like what I think more people should do just in general in society, is hold yourselves accountable much more with the littlest things. And I guarantee you it's going to make a difference. Like brushing your teeth or making your bed every morning. Like, just do little things, and I swear to God, that stuff it just stacks and stacks. And again, I'd rather be the Charles Barkley who stacked and stacked all my career. I got better. I became what I wanted to be. I just never accomplished the ultimate goal.
Right.
But I could say I got pretty near. I was pretty close to it, and I'm respected among my peers because of how dominant I was. Not in Robert Ory's case because he's a legend because of how much he contributed, but in most players' case, hey, I got a ring, you don't. That argument doesn't work. That's like, I worked at Google or I worked at Apple and I'm more responsible for Apple than Steve Jobs. No, you're not. Shut up. Shut up.
People forget Kostas Antetokounmpo, Giannis's brother, has a ring before Giannis. Like it rings. If you're the 15th man on the roster, you're getting the ring. So, and Robert Horry hit big shots. I'm not discounting that. He's a good player for a championship team, but I will say this. The question is pretty much, would you be a star and not win, or not be a star and win rings? So, and I would choose be a star and then just come short. I don't know. That's just me personally. Every answer varies. But
all right.
Good job, Jeff. Clearing that up for everybody.
Yes, sir.
So, before we go, and we're going to talk about next, let me tell you, who is the best athlete to never win MVP? That'll be an interesting one between these two. But before we go, Jeff has a friend to tell us about, so let's do that.
Oh, yeah. I got to make a shout-out to our buddies at Coast. And let me tell you, since 1919, Coast has pursued one mission: to make the working professional's job safer and life easier. Today, Coast Lights are a favorite amongst tradesmen and women, outdoor enthusiasts, do-it-yourselfers, first responders, and more. Visit coastportland.com and use code WSN20 for 20% off your purchase. They stand by their products and back them up with a lifetime warranty. Buying for your whole crew? Sign up with our Coast crew to take advantage of special discounts, early access to new products, and more. Again, that 20% off code is WSN20.
Opa! Introducing Papa Romano's new Greek pizza, a tasty blend of bold Greek flavors and Mediterranean toppings, including feta cheese and Greek dressing. Get a large Greek pizza for a limited time for $16.99. Order now at paparomanos.com.
Make sure you download the Woodward Sports app in the App Store and the Google Play Store today. Take Woodward Sports with you wherever you go and listen live on your phone or mobile device.
Welcome back, everybody. You're tuning in to the Morning Wood on the Woodward Sports Network. So happy to have you here on this lovely Tuesday. Thanks for hanging out here with us. All right, so now we have to get into who is the best athlete to never win MVP. Adam, I want to hear from you first.
This was so hard.
Yes, it was.
Let me start just first with a Detroiter. Isaiah Thomas never captured a regular season MVP. Back-to-back finals MVP, never was able to capture a regular season MVP. Now, did he put up the Russell Westbrook numbers that you need to win an MVP? No, but his value during his peak and his prime was, I would say, at the level, if not maybe slightly more than MJ's at the time, and then you can put him on Bird and Magic's level during that era. And he never won an MVP. For me, that one I'm just going to hit home with that one. We'll start with Isaiah. But there are a few people on here that I have that I am very upset that haven't won an MVP yet. We'll start with the greatest wide receiver of all time statistically across the board. Jerry Rice never won an MVP. And Jerry Rice held multiple records and still was never able to win an MVP. Granted, it's a quarterback league, but we've seen offensive skilled players win MVP and defensive skilled players win MVP. And I'm going to give you one more. I have like a list of 8, so I'm just going to let you name your first 3, but my last one is a very recent player, and he's a player I had as the #1 player in the NFL, and that's Aaron Donald. Beyond me, Aaron Donald is yet to win an MVP. Beyond me. Again, most valuable player. It's the thing that pisses me off with LeBron James. He's been the most valuable player a minimum of 8 years. Minimum. And I'm being so generous by even saying it's even at 8. And he is, what, 4 MVPs? MVP voting is very skewed sometimes. And Aaron Donald is one of those guys where you just look at the tape. Who is changing the game for their team and making the most impact? Aaron Donald's been doing that for 4 or 5 straight years now. He's only a 6-year vet. He's going into year 7. He's young. I hope he wins an MVP. I think he deserves to win an MVP. But you just look at his first 6 seasons. There have been multiple MVP years. Last year, he probably should have finished 3rd or 4th in the voting. Just because I think Josh Allen, who, in my opinion, was robbed of the MVP, should have won an MVP, but they gave it to Aaron Rodgers because he put up better numbers but won the same amount of games. So what do I know? Aaron Donald, I would like to see win an MVP at some point in his career because he is that dominant. It's not that he's the defensive player getting 17, 18 sacks on the edge and he doesn't do anything in the playoffs or even just in the regular season. It like comes in spurts. No, every game you're putting 2 to 3 people on Aaron Donald and he is still wreaking havoc. Please, NFL, award this man an MVP if he puts himself in another situation where he's got over 14, 15 sacks in a given year, multiple forced fumbles. Please, please consider it. This man deserves an MVP. Go ahead.
We have similar. I did write Jerry Rice on here. I mean, I want to note this. 2 of my guys have won Finals MVP, but in terms of regular season MVP, one guy, just the Isaiah Thomases of the world. I mean, those, like you said, back-to-back championships. Yes, he was never, never scored 25 points, but the guy was the most valuable player on his team. It was clear, and they were winning. So that's one of my guys. Aaron Donald, I think the year he should have won possibly an MVP, he had 20 sacks, 4 forced fumbles. He's the most important player on that LA Rams team. When Jared Goff was playing, you could even make that argument even more. I mean, he's the best player argument. That's why me and Adam go back and forth, 1 and 2 in the NFL. So there's no reason why he can't have an MVP as well. But the one guy I made the argument for, and which I'm very shocked about, because he speaking of records, he made the Jerry Rice argument with all the records. Let's talk about passing records and someone who's scored 30-plus touchdowns in 8 straight years and hasn't been an interception machine, Drew Brees. I mean, he's been second in MVP voting 4 times, 2006, 2009, the year he won, 2011, and 2018, and he hasn't gotten an MVP. And that just surprises me. Considering, number one, he's top in every pass yard stat in the NFL, but more importantly, just what he means to the New Orleans Saints, and since coming there from San Diego and just immediately bringing success. And he's had, 2 seasons with over 42 touchdowns, and which is absurd. I mean, Aaron Rodgers, we talk about guys like that doing it, throwing tons of touchdowns. At least Aaron has an MVP. Drew doesn't have an MVP, and he's been in the second place 4 times. I think 4 times to be in MVP race and not get one. Especially winning a Super Bowl the same year you got robbed is it's just interesting to me. So I would add Drew Brees on that list, but Aaron Donald, Jerry Rice, and Isaiah Thomas I all had on my list. Jerry Rice doesn't make any sense why he doesn't have an MVP, and same with Isaiah Thomas. And you can make that same argument for guys. You could say guys like Barry Sanders and different athletes who are meant so much to their team, but at the end of the day, I got Drew Brees as my biggest shock.
He's finished second in the voting 4 times in his career.
Yeah.
So I do have to agree the Drew Brees one is a great comparison. But, somebody that didn't win an Offensive Player of the Year we can even start with, let alone MVPs. I don't think the solution is like an offensive and defensive MVP, because that's basically the same thing as Offensive Defensive Player of the Year. So I think the way they do it now is fine. It's a quarterback-driven league, obviously. So if a quarterback puts up numbers, they're probably going to be the front runner. But, I think it would be sad if Aaron Donald puts up another 4 to 5 years of what he's been doing and he doesn't walk away with an MVP. Even J.J. Watt.
True.
J.J. Watt had a peak where it was like 3-4 years. The most frustrating defensive line player that you could play against. He would swat every ball down. He could score touchdowns. I believe he had like 6 in a year. Sack machine. Tackles for loss. Quarterback pressures. You name it, he did it. This reminds me a lot of the Heisman. I know the quarterback is flashy, but can we pay some homage to the players that are making a huge impact on the field outside of the quarterback? And again, quarterback-driven league. Quarterback-driven everything. But when you have players that are this special and have seasons that are that special, you should definitely recognize them. Not just because Aaron Rodgers threw fewer interceptions and a little more touchdowns than he did the year prior. He deserves to take a 13-3 team, make them 13-3 the next year, win MVP, but Josh Allen goes from a nothing to a 13-3 football team with Stephon Diggs, puts up MVP numbers, similar touchdowns, similar interceptions, but he doesn't win it. I don't get the MVP voting sometimes. I really don't. Peyton Manning has a ton of them, but he was one of the best regular season quarterbacks of all time too. So
and let me add this: the whole J.J. Watt. That's a great point you brought up, because a guy who had 20 sacks twice in his career, one in 2012, where the Houston Texans went 12-4 as Matt Schaub as their quarterback, and the man can't secure an MVP. It just doesn't make sense. So I like your point about the Heisman. It kind of is similar. I mean, the quarterbacks, they're getting favored, even though guys like Aaron Donald, guys like J.J. Watt are very dominant in their own right. But that's what surprises me the most about Drew Brees, because as favorable as the quarterback position is, I'm surprised he hasn't gotten one. And it makes sense. You got Tom Brady, you got Aaron Rodgers. There's other guys who he was shadowed, behind. But at the same time, you give it to the best person and the best player that season. So, I mean, if you're doing that, J.J. Watt deserves one. Aaron Donald deserves one.
Kennedy, is there anybody that stands out to you
that
should have won an MVP?
I've got to agree with Aaron Donald. I really like him. I think he's a useful player. Obviously, he's got the stats to prove it. I mean, it's kind of ridiculous that he doesn't have an MVP. That would be my top choice. But yeah, that's who I would say. That's the most surprising to me for sure. I think he got snubbed there.
Yeah, a lot of players get snubbed on the MVP. I
Yeah.
mean, if Drew Brees doesn't have an MVP and he plays at the position that is just MVP driven,
right?
How can I actually sit up here and say maybe that Aaron Donald or J.J. Watt deserved one? I mean, it's difficult.
And our very own quarterback, Jared Goff, got compared to him. So maybe he'll be MVP this season, right, Adam?
Nope, not a chance. Not a chance. Don't.
I tried, you guys. I tried.
Well, you guys just put me in a situation where it's like I got to sound like the bad guy because I'm giving you guys reality. Reality is Jared Goff is not an MVP candidate this year. Are we really doing this?
I was going to add
Behave.
I was going to make a joke earlier when Adam's over here saying realistically, like he believes this line will turn around in the next 1 to 2 years, being truthful. And I'm just thinking, how negative? No, I'm just joking. He's being realistic. I mean, the guy, he tells it how it is. That's why we argue so much.
Bob's big boy.
Oh, no.
Put up a great comment. Derrick Henry rushed for 2,000 yards in a quarterback-driven league and still didn't win MVP.
Yeah.
That is so true. Even, what was it, Chris Johnson. Remember Chris Johnson? Yep. CJ2K. Didn't sniff MVP votings. Again, like, we got to... I would like to see us as a community voting, really reshape and rethink how we vote for MVP. Storyline matters. Storyline plays a huge part in it. And there's a reason why, like, a Mahomes bursted onto the scene, but he also threw 50 touchdowns.
Rodgers last year with his
Rodgers
story.
last year, but where was the storyline? They were 13-3 the year prior, but oh my goodness, he only threw 8 interceptions, Adam, because he throws the ball away instead of trying to make tight window throws. Give me a break. That's your MVP? Josh Allen took the team from nothing to 13-3. He didn't win an MVP. We gotta rethink how we're giving away these awards. It is a crying shame that an Aaron Rodgers has as many MVPs as a Tom Brady. Look at Aaron Rodgers' weapons over his career, not even just with Devontae Adams, over his career. And compare them outside of Moss era, Welker era, for that 2-year stretch with Brady where one of them he was hurt. Outside of that, what has Brady worked with? A 7th-round quarterback? Julian Edelman? Oh, Adam, you're wrong. Rob Gronkowski, I'll give you that. He does got a tight end. Cool. How'd he last? He had like 3-4 prime years. Then he just, it takes a toll on you playing that position. What did Brady work with truly?
Right.
Since we're talking about most valuable player. Go look at his last season before he delivered a title to the Bucks. 11-5 with that football team. That the year following went 7-9 just because Bill Belichick is their head coach. They managed to win 7 games. That's it.
I mean, he managed to do it last year. Gronk was still there. Tom Brady is...
Tom Brady put up 40 touchdowns last year, given weapons around him. The guy, again, like this MVP thing drives me nuts. Russell Westbrook has an MVP, Adam. When are we just gonna... When are we going to take... Can we just do the most talent, the MTP, or like the most statistically accomplished player? Like, can we change the wording? It's not most valuable, because Russell Westbrook, his triple-double year, which he's had multiple now, but that was most value in the league. Taking a team and changing their win-loss column by what, 4, 5? A 7 seed. Played with Paul George. It's not like he was playing with bums.
Right.
And you could bring this to the NFL. Aaron Rodgers, 13-3 the year prior. And then he followed it up with what? Wait, you're going to be surprised when I tell you. 13-3. Again. What did he do in the NFC Championship games? Go look at the first one. Nada. 0 touchdowns. Go look at the next one. Or I believe it was 1 touchdown, 1 interception. The next one, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. Must look good. If you watch the game against the Bucs, he didn't play great. He showed up late, got a few touchdowns late. Cool. Game was done. Game was done at halftime when Brady threw that dime. Story of Aaron Rodgers. Most valuable and most statistically accomplished are very different. So, sorry. There are times where I want to defend players, and I really like to see value. Like Aaron Rodgers, obviously he's an MVP type quarterback. But really, that's what we voted last year? A guy who was 13-3 the year prior, delivered the same record, more touchdowns, similar interceptions, same team record, same team accomplishment. And there was a guy in Buffalo who took a franchise that was nothing, and really elevated them to what we knew the Bills were in the 90s when they went to 4 straight Super Bowls. That's how good they looked. They beat the Colts. They lost to the Chiefs in the AFC title game. Like, that is an MVP, not a guy who did the same thing back-to-back years and we just decided, oh, you know what, we couldn't give it to him that year because that guy won it, so we'll just give it to him this year because statistically he was really good, but nothing changed. I don't know. It's very inconsistent to me.
I think consistency to a degree should be praised. Like with this next person, Russell Wilson, I think that's another guy who we left out who, has been short of the MVP race. And I think his consistency in Seattle has at least deserved him 1 MVP, if not, he hasn't been really close in the last couple of years. So he's been 3 or out the race. So that's another guy I would like to look at. And he has won games every single year. He's been around 11, 12 wins, 10 wins. But that's another reason why he deserves an MVP, because of how consistent he makes Seattle. Obviously, Pete Carroll, give him credit. But, before the emergence of DK Metcalf, It was just Tyler Lockett. It wasn't a lot of talent for him. So
I do agree. Russell Wilson's one of those guys where you look at it's like, man, he's so valuable to their team. And you know who's emerging as that right now in the NFL that nobody's really talking about? Dak Prescott is becoming the Russell Wilson of Dallas, and I'll tell you why. It's not because he's as good or better than Russell. No, no, no. Seattle is so Russell dependent.
True.
They haven't figured out their offensive line. They haven't figured out the pass rush. And they are relevant because of their quarterback.
He bails them out.
And look at Dallas. They are only relevant with Dak. I may not have agreed to pay Dak the money they paid him coming off of that injury. But you know what Dak does do? He gives them a chance. And he keeps them relevant. And that's something Russell does a really good job over in Seattle. So take us away, Kennedy.
Yeah. Well, we're going to hear from our studio MVP when we come back, Fish. But before that, Adam has to tell us about our buddies over at Levels.
All right, guys. Levels in Centerline is now open. Obviously, I've been saying it all week. We were there last Friday for their grand opening. Well, not last Friday. The Friday prior.
Yep.
Time flies so fast. Anyways, it was a great time. We had so much fun being down there. But, guys, the experience is unmatched. Download their app today. Search Enjoy Levels. Enjoy collecting points. Level up. You get rewarded for every purchase you make. This is like standard. This is a standard Goodwill thing. You buy something, you get rewarded for it. How good is that? Make sure when you do stop by, though, you mention that Woodward Sports sent you. Remember, guys, Enjoy Levels. Download the app today. It's available both on Android and iOS. We'll see you right after the break.
Hi, I'm David Hall from Hall Financial. With historically low interest rates and 5-star service, you could pay your mortgage off faster without increasing your monthly payment. Get started now at 248-308-5000 or chat with us online. Call hallfirst.com.
Would you like to win a custom-built chopper while helping our veterans at the same time?
Then watch as we turn this bike into a one-of-a-kind classic chopper.
Watch the Call Sam Chopper Shop on our social media channels and get your raffle ticket today at callsam.com/chopper shop.
Is it time?
Yeah, it is.
Fish!
Go fish.
Fish facts.
It's Fish!
Alrighty, today is a lovely Tuesday, whatever day it is. It's Tuesday. We have some facts for you today. Before we get to the facts, we'll go out to a video, and before we get to the video, this video is from a coach. Adam, you know him pretty well. Jose Mourinho. He's now in Italy. Don't know if you're aware. He plays on Roma. AS Roma. They played a game over the weekend where they won, and you're in Italy. So it was an away game, by the way, if any of you care. How do you celebrate the bus ride home? Well, pretty simple. You eat some pizza. Some raw Italian pizza. And there he is, just eating some pizza on the bus ride home. Just as normal. I relate him to Bill Belichick in the NFL. Do you think that's a good comparison? No?
Adam,
Adam's not listening?
You just missed the best thing I've ever seen.
I saw he was eating pizza and drinking a Coke.
But you forgot explain, Fish.
Oh, it was the bus ride home after a win.
After a win.
Yeah.
Eating that delicious meal.
That's good. Yeah. That's what you should do when you win.
Yeah, but
Adam, you are the first one to attack people for what they're eating.
Okay, that's why I wanted to bring it up.
Games.
So we're all going to gang up on Adam because I say Mike McCarthy is fat, which he is. You look at that coach, Jose Mourinho. He is not fat.
So if
It doesn't matter though. You can be skinny and super unhealthy. You just have a metabolism that allows you to eat that way. It's still not good for you.
Adam, let me.
Okay, so.
Can I ask you this? Well, let me just ask you this. You're the coach, all right? You just catch a dub. You got the team on the bus. You're heading back. Are you diving into that pizza on the ride home with a Coke?
As long as I don't look like Mike McCarthy, yes, absolutely.
Absolutely. You were watching your weight
Everybody
beforehand.
should spoil themselves from time to time. It's not what I say. You guys misunderstand everything I say. It's unbelievable.
He wants broccoli
I don't know
after
how more
wins.
clear I can be. Mike McCarthy is overweight. Is that better, Kennedy? I'm not so direct.
Fine, but
he is overweight. That's all I said.
You can't come
Do
at
I
some
think it's
people and not
affecting all of
others.
his football intangibles? No, but it could play a role. That's it. Leave
could.
me,
I
leave
like how
me
he
be.
says that. It
I
could.
already admitted that you have unhealthy, overweight head coaches. Let's say a Bill Belichick and Andy Reid. You have your coaches there who are a little thick on the sides. It's okay. I'm not saying it's bad, but my point I was making about Dallas and Mike McCarthy is the only thing American about the Dallas Cowboys And why they're called America's team is because their coach is obese. And that's what this country is, whether you like it or not. Fish, please continue.
I just brought up because you don't see many coaches eating after a game, let alone eating on the bus ride home and just acting like
it's in
nothing
Italy.
ever
The
happened.
pizza in Italy is not the pizza here, guys.
It is not. It's
The
different.
dough they eat in Italy is
You're gonna say it's
rested
healthier?
for hours and hours and days before they even use it. That's why it's so thin. You're not eating this unhealthy yeasted version of bread. Like, that's why. Continue, Fish. I really want you to continue. Stop trying to talk for me about what I think fat people are. All right, go ahead. Continue.
I didn't say anything about fat people. You don't see that very often, so I brought it up.
I think it's cool.
It is cool. Yeah. Speaking of cool, John Carlos Stanton, 30th home run of 450 feet plus. So not just his 30th home run, but it's his 30th home run of 450 feet plus, tracked by StatCast since 2015.
Too bad I hate the Yankees, but you know what? That's a good accomplishment right there.
It's a very good accomplishment, and that man has a lot of power. Speaking of power, Glenn Otto's MLB debut on Friday went 5 innings, 2 hits, and 0 runs. And then AJ Alexey's MLB debut yesterday went 5 innings, 1 hit, and 0 runs. The Rangers are the first team in the modern era to have 2 pitchers throw 5+ shutout innings while allowing 2 hits or fewer in their debuts in the same year, let alone within a week, which is what they did.
Working as a duo, that's pretty impressive. As a team, yeah, I'd be excited about that. You got 2 guys playing well.
Yeah, and the Rangers are not looking hot, and they were the first ball club, by the way, to have 100% capacity. A lot of people were stressed about that, like, oh my God, you're going to kill all the fans.
At least they got some
Hasn't happened yet.
some positivity going on.
Need some positivity, and they have plenty of it. Speaking of positivity, Monday, which was yesterday, marks the 3rd time this season Shohei Ohtani, Vladimir Guerrero Jr., and Fernando Tatis Jr. all homered on the same day. They did the same thing on the 25th of June and the 4th of April.
Dang,
so not many times
3 dudes. I saw Vladimir in person Saturday. That was cool. But he didn't hit no bombs. So you know what? That's Monday we should have been watching.
He did not hit a bomb, but they did win the game. Toronto won the game, so that must have been. How devastated were you? Was that the 10-inning game they played on Saturday?
Yeah.
How were you devastated?
You know what? I'm gonna say it right here. I did leave early. I didn't want to avoid the traffic, but I was checking on my phone, so it was whatever.
Disappointed with you. Not disappointed of birthdays today. By the way, today is Wednesday or Tuesday, the 31st. Larry Fitzgerald, it is his birthday. Happy birthday to him, 1983. He's from Minneapolis. So it is Larry Fitzgerald's birthday. Still playing on the Cardinals, I believe. Still on the Cardinals. And he'll still be there until 2057 or
Till
whatever.
he's 45.
Yep. And then Maz's favorite coach, hopefully, Tom Coughlin. It is also his birthday, 1946.
You say Tom Coughlin?
Yeah. He was still coaching until...
How old is he, 90?
1946. You guys can do the math. But he is... he was a good coach on the Giants until he got fired.
He beat Tom twice, so you know what? Give him his credit.
He did beat Tom Brady twice, and Maz loves to say that.
Maz will bring it up.
He will bring it up a lot. Those are the facts. We will have a great day and a great week.
Thanks, Fish. You are the best. Obviously, awesome facts as always. All right, thank you guys so much for hanging out with us right here on the Woodward Sports Network. But before we go, I want to know, how old is too old? Like, if you guys were the best of the best athletes, when are you going to tap out? What age, Jeff?
Number one, depends on the sport, because if you're playing football, unlike basketball, if you're 36, 37, you don't want to take a beating, especially what position you play. If you're a running back, so many variances. But let me start by saying this. Let's say I'm in the NBA. Let's make that clear. I'm gonna retire once my play declines. Like if you're LeBron or somebody like those guys who put up stats.
Such a baby.
If your play is declining and listen, I'm not gonna be able to put up the same numbers or play as well because my body's breaking down. I'm retiring.
If you're giving me $8 million to ride the bench like half the teams in the NBA are doing right now, I am playing until I'm 40.
What if
I don't care. I don't care
bag?
if I was a peak. I don't care if I was a superstar.
So you're Vince Carter.
If I was Vince Carter,
right now.
That is a great career. You're telling me I had my prime years where I was considered a star player. I made all-star teams, won a dunk contest. I was a pretty solid player. And then the last 7-8 years of my career, I was getting paid $2 to $10 million a year to ride the bench and play maybe 8 minutes a game.
Veteran.
Oh my God, what a life! What a life! I would go till I was 50 if teams would have me.
For as negative as people say you are, you're honestly making that. It's a pretty positive thing. If you're sitting there for so long, it's not a bad thing. It's just your career.
If I could pull a Udonis Haslam, I'm all for it. I'm getting paid to do nothing.
But Udonis Haslam doesn't have the career resume. Like if you're great,
I'll drop my points per game average.
So you
if
don't
it
care
means
about.
I got another $50 million in my bank account.
So let's say Adam Baydoun, you're dominating. All right,
Yep.
You're time to retire. You're saying, you know what? As great as I was, and let's say you put up all the points, you're willing to just be below mediocre and let people kind of watch that just to get the bag, is what you're saying.
If you're telling me I can make $50 million being a bum for 5 years, you're damn right.
I see where you're coming from, but if I'm like the best of the best, I don't want to mess up my legacy for no reason. You know what I'm saying?
Legacy. Nobody cares about the legacy outside of the bank account.
Oh,
All right,
you
guys,
You got $50 million in the
come
bank
on.
account, then we can talk about legacy.
All right. Well, we got to get out of here. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. This has been The Morning Wood on the morning. Oh, my gosh. On the Woodward Sports Network. Thanks so much, you guys. We will see you tomorrow.